What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. Today we're doing something completely different, but something I've been looking forward to doing for a very long time now, and hopefully it's going to be really interesting and very educational for you guys. Today I'm putting together a small tutorial, hopefully something concise and to the point that will help you from whether you're at the green, whether you're down low at the green ranks, all the way up until red rank as well. We're going to talk about some beginner tips. We're going to give you some tips today on looping and things that will help you out with routing, pathing, optimum routing, and unique pathing, and obviously getting the most benefit out of certain loops that can hopefully improve your looping game, hopefully improve on how much time you can waste the killer's time, which obviously at the higher ranks is very, very important, so that your other teammates can be efficient and complete objectives. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today would be looking behind you when you run. This is something that obviously sounds so basic and so easy, but for somebody who maybe not have played the game before, or someone who is learning the game, this is something that's so important that you have to get down pat, like right off the bat. This is something you have to practice and work on over and over again, because everything else, movement-wise and judging where the killer is going to be and everything else, stems from knowing where the killer is and being able to look behind you as you run, even if it's quick glances behind, back and forth, so you can see where the killer is, what his movements are, what he's doing, and then you can make a decision on what you're going to do from there. Another really important tip to give you guys when looping killers, or when looping any kind of tile or any kind of pallet gym or structure or anything within the game, and you're trying to make distance or keep distance away from the killer, the most important thing to remember is always try to stay as tight to the walls as you possibly can. This will help you, especially if the killer isn't hugging the wall tight. This is something that will ensure that you're creating or keeping as much distance away from the killer as you possibly can. This is something, again, that will take practice and take time. This is something that you will do over and over again, practice, and remembering to avoid certain obstacles or certain random bits of collision that the developers have for some reason decided to put into the game that might hinder you, get stuck on, and then the killer gets an easy hit. But if you can move around certain objects, certain tiles efficiently, then this is going to serve you very, very well when you're making your way up to red rank. The next thing I want to talk about, obviously, is when to use pallets. So it's something that seems so easy, but again, for some reason, even in my solo queues or whenever I'm playing with random people, again, this is something hopefully that will help them if they do see this. It's just something that I see people doing all the time, that they'll take a hit, they'll drop the pallet, and then they'll waste that pallet, whereas they could have taken the hit, moved around the tile or moved around the pallet gym or the jungle gym or whatever it would have been, killed more of the killer's time, but also still have had the pallet there to save them from the next time, from the next time that they potentially took a hit. Obviously, there are a set number of pallets and windows that will spawn on the map. The RNG obviously dictates how many will spawn in. Sometimes it may feel like there is, maybe not enough pallets, or maybe it'll seem like there's too many. This is obviously completely random, and obviously another reason why you want to be particular about when you drop the pallet. Another thing to talk about is obviously the god pallet. Okay, so a god pallet, essentially a god pallet, what it is a pallet that has absolutely zero mind game at all. So the only outcome, there's no 50-50 here, the only outcome that there could be when you drop a pallet or you stun a killer with the pallet is he has to break the pallet and the survivor creates distance. There is no other outcome. There is no other way that the killer can then double back around it, mind game it in any way, or potentially loop it with you, or potentially land a hit before there is no land a hit before you can get away or anything like that. The only option there is to destroy the pallet. These pallets, for example, the one at Killer Shack, there's a couple on the Gideon meat plant on the bottom floor up by the staircase leading down to the basement. Obviously, then the other one that there is as well, which is at both corners of Midwich, just to name a few. So these pallets are extremely valuable. Usually, if you're playing on Midwich, it always spawns the 2 god pallets on either corner of the map down by the staircases, and then obviously the other one being the one where there's like almost like a surgeon's room that you'd cut through as if you're going towards the exit, and there's a pallet that you drop down there. Again, zero mind game, something, again, this is a precious resource, or this is a resource that should be dropped only when you need to. And even again, if you're in a chase and you can take a hit before you drop it, that might be more beneficial to you and your team in the long run. If you can keep that up, and then the best looper in your team or one of the better loopers in your team is getting chased in the game, that could be the difference between all of you making it out, or maybe one or two of you making it out, because that person might be able to use that resource slightly better and make more use out of it. And again, the most important thing, kill the killer's time or waste the killer's time and get some amazing value out of it, and eventually get you and your teammates out. Another important thing to talk about is fast vaulting. So essentially, whenever you're running up towards a window or a vault, there are two different actions, or three technically. There's your slow vault, your medium vault, and your fast vault. But when you're running up to it, when you're running up to the window or the vault, you could basically enter into a medium vault or a fast vault. And this all depends on the angle that you're running up towards the window and the speed in which you're coming up to it as well. So obviously, you'll as you're coming up to it with the right angle, you might see, even if it's just for a split second, the animation or the option on the bottom of the screen there for the running vault, which is your fast vault, which again could save you from taking a hit. If you're running up to the vault and you're not looping something in an optimized way, and you medium vault, so let's say for example you medium vault the killer shack, then that will potentially, I want to say 8 or 9 times out of 10 result in the survivor taking a hit. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about. I know if I can't fit them all in this episode, I'll definitely be doing more tutorials. I know that I want to talk about looping. I've definitely been doing a lot of looping on the channel. You guys seem to be really enjoying it. It seems to be one of my biggest hits on the channel when I do these looping videos, so that's really good as well, and that's amazing to hear about the feedback on that too. Obviously, I want to talk a little bit about specific tiles on specific maps. So the one that sticks to mind right now that I will talk about with you on how to run, or how to get the most value out of it, would obviously be the killer shack. The killer shack is a 4-walled structure that we're obviously very well all familiar with, that has 2 doors, the 1 vault and the 1 god pallet. When you're running this or looping this with the killer, you want to ensure that the killer is behind you at all times, that you're running in through the door without the pallet, and you're then giving yourself the option of the fast vault on your left or the god pallet in front of you. If you know how to run this, you can waste a lot of the killer's time. Potentially you could run him on this for half of the game. If you know what you're doing, and if you run this correctly, you can kill a lot of the killer's time. This is so important at the higher ranks, when killers are dropping people left, right and center, and you need a little bit of room and there's pressure on, and your teammates need a little bit of room to get the gens going. In this clip, I'm showing how, if the killer is pressuring you and you have to enter it through the pallet side, how to switch it around and mind game it so you can get back access to that fast vault and the pallet as well. This is extremely important so that you're playing on your terms and making it as difficult for the killer as possible. So in this clip, I'm coming in from the optimized way, the most beneficial way. For a survivor, you're coming in through the pallet side, you're going into the left and making that fast vault, using the corners and his red stain, and obviously the view that you can get through the window to make a judgment on whether or not you should make your way back through. Another little tip for you as well is some of the outside walls, you can sort of see through them, like there's a little gap in that one there. You can see what the killer's doing, and then you can make a judgment from there. In this clip, you're using your knowledge of the map to create distance when one of the strongest tiles in the game is no longer available to you. This tile that we're running, and I want to speak a little bit about certain tiles that do spawn quite frequently within the map. This structure, or this tile, is the T&L. So as you can see, I'm running through in my optimized way, in the optimized route, in the best possible route for the survivor. The killer is running it in the worst potential way, which is following it through the outside. I'm not going to speak about how stupid or silly it would be for a killer to vault there without like bamboozle or something, because that would be ridiculous. So the fastest possible way is to run in, through and around, and then if the killer lets you do that, you can get 3 fast vaults off of the tile, off of both vaults. I'm becoming very conscious that the video is getting slightly longer than I'd actually intended when I first started putting this together. So what I'm going to think about doing, and obviously you can leave a comment if you would like to see more of this, what I might actually do is start making this one of the ongoing series on my channel. And if you want to see more tips and tricks and more information about looping, I definitely know that I'm going to be doing another video somewhere in the near future when I talk about specific tiles that spawn on specific maps, for example Crane or Fun Bus. I know I want to do a tutorial on the how to 360 on controller, and if you have any other things that you would like me to do or you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. I'm probably going to end the video there. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this was educational and informational and a lot of positive information for you guys. And what I'll do is I will potentially, if you guys give me a little bit of feedback, think about making this a potentially ongoing series on the channel. Thanks so much for your time today, and I will see you in the next one.